looking to compare prices for your brand new car? Well then, visit AutoDeal.com.ph, select the car that you want, and choose to request for a quote from our network of over 500 official dealer partners nationwide. Within minutes, you'll start receiving offers from the dealers you've selected. All that's left is for you to select the deal that's best for you. Get the best deal on AutoDeal. The highlight of our trip to the 2023 Seoul Mobility Show is Kia, and obviously it's the EV9. It is the reveal of the EV9. Now, it was first shown at the LA Motor Show back in 2021, but that was just a concept vehicle. This now are the production vehicles. This is the EV9 here on my right, and on my left is the EV9 GT line. Now, there are some differences between the two cars, obviously, when you're talking about seats, possibly range and power and whatnot, and some aesthetics too. Like, for instance, on the front of the EV9, here up front on the Tiger face, you do still have LED lights, as you can see, and then you've got the DRLs found up front. But on the GT line, it's got just a little bit more flex up front, really. Now, these are just some. We'll go through some more of the differences between the EV9 and the GT line. But before we do get inside the car, I want to show you one main feature that Kia wants to push when it comes to EVs. Not just the environmental aspect of what an EV brings, lowering the carbon footprint, but they also want to take care of what they put inside the automobile, which is recyclable materials, or rather sustainable materials, from PET fabrics that are recycled to bio paint and whatnot. See, it's not just enough to lessen or to minimize or even just completely zero out your carbon footprint, but it's also important to Kia to make sure that what goes inside the car is also sustainable, and that's exactly how they want to move forward with their automobiles. Now, back to the automobiles themselves. Let's move on over here to the GT line. There are a couple of models available of the EV9, which is one, you have a rear-wheel drive and a one that is an all-wheel drive that has two motors. Then you've got a model that is a 7-seater. You've also got models that are 6-seaters, and the 6-seaters are actually pretty cool because the second row captain's chairs can actually turn around. It's going to do a 180 and you can face each other inside the car. And since it's an electric vehicle, you can sit inside there. Let's say, for example, if it's too hot, you can all stay inside and just chill out and hang out and whatnot. Or if it's raining, just keep the engine running, the air on and whatnot. And since you've got charging points all over the vehicle, then you can just basically stay on your phones and be at home and not pay attention to one another. So then what's the point of turning the cars around and turning the seats around and facing each other? I'm getting ahead of myself, never mind. Anyway, so this is the GT line. We talked a little bit about the front. The rear, it's got this, the rear lights are actually pretty cool. It looks like a constellation. This door is open. I'm gonna close this right here so you can see it. At the rear here, what you get is the star map of Kia, because it looks like, just look, like points in a constellation, right? It's very, very futuristic. I like that. I'm going to open her up while there are still people actually talking inside. Let's not bother them. But you can see that the boot space isn't all that great, but that's with the third row in play. The good thing is that the seats actually do fold very flat. Even those chairs that are captain's chairs that turn around with a 180, you can fold that too and increase the boot space exponentially. Inside on the third row, you can fit 2 medium to large size adults. There's that much space inside because the automobile, the dimension of this car is actually closer to that of the Telluride, but it's actually 8 inches longer, and all of those 8 inches means mounds and mounds of space inside. And since there's no tunnel in the center, there's really a lot of space inside. So it is quite a busy day. There's a lot of people inside. But what I can tell you, where they are sitting right now, you have 2 very large screens for the driver in terms of the infotainment and the instrument cluster. They're both 12.3 inches. Yes, for the instrument cluster and the driver as well. You've got some physical controls for the air and the radio, which is actually pretty cool. And then you have cameras all around the vehicle. Now, what I can tell you, the difference between the GT
E-line and just the EV9 is that the power outputs will differ, especially if it's an all-wheel drive or a rear-wheel drive system. But depending on the variant that you can get up to over 500 kilometers on a single charge. That is quite a lot. Also, like I mentioned earlier, there's an all-wheel drive, which is 2 electric motors, and a rear-wheel drive. So depending on which one that you get, and depending on the size of the wheels that you get, these are actually 21s, you can get a automobile that will give you roughly about 380 horses and 600 Newton meters of torque, where you're closer to about 100 kilowatt battery. Some cool features that you will find inside this car is HDP, which is Highway Driving Pilot. It's autonomous driving level 3, which means that it can't drive itself. But if you're out on the highway, specific highways in the world, I'm not sure if that applies to the Philippines, but you should be able to take your hands off the steering wheel and it will guide itself on the lines down the road. So not exactly releasing all commands of the vehicle, but it does help you at the same time. That's a really trippy display. You know, speaking of trippy displays, another trippy thing about the EV9 is that the side mirrors aren't actually mirrors, they're more like cameras, and then there are screens inside that can show you what it is that's exactly happening on the sides of on the side of the vehicle. But I think the biggest thing about the EV9 is just exactly how big it is and how spacious it is, whether you're 7 people inside the car or 6 people inside the car that use the turning of the chairs that go 180. The thing about it is also, I must tell you that Kia's plans are to produce about 100,000 of these units. How many of those units, if they actually do make them for the Philippines, I have no idea. But you can head on over to AutoDeal.com.ph because we do have more information for you on the EV9. And of course, if you'd like to see the EV6, essentially the smaller brother of this car, we have a walk around of that, and the links are found somewhere down below. What you can do as a favor to yourself is subscribe to our channel and check our website every once in a while to keep up with the latest news, to see if this car will eventually come to the country, and then get ready to hit that get quote button because it can bring you that much closer to that car.